I'm about to bring in our next presenter. Okay, you know what's cool about this guy? I got a chance to. He was doing a big opportunity meeting on GoToWebinar yesterday. I got a chance to actually jump on at the beginning of his meeting and to like 100 agents and like not only tell my story but edify him and everything that he's doing. And I'm a big believer in giving more and doing more. And this individual is also doing a bunch of that. And so please help me bring in from Brady Insurance Marketing, someone who has been crushing it in the space and is a phenomenal trainer, Mr. Ty Brady. Welcome to 8% Virtual.
Thank you, Cody. And thank you all of 8% Nation of being on today. You know, we talked about doubt, or we heard about doubt just a little bit ago. And you know what? I was doubtful. I've only really been on social media the last 3 years. So if anybody goes and tries to follow me on social media, you'll see that I haven't been on social media very long. But it was that doubt, right? It was that vulnerability. It was, you know, I don't want to be the face of it being out there. But I am the owner of Brady Insurance Marketing. I run one of the 10th largest FMO marketing companies when it comes to Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements in the country, usually finish in the top 10. This year, I think I finished in the top. I was number 7th overall. But, you know, I help and train and recruit agents all over the country. And I do appreciate Cody being on yesterday. It was able to edify what we're able to do as an agency and what we're able to bring to the table. And I appreciate the previous speaker talking about doubt. You know, it kind of goes along with what I'm going to talk about today. I am a father. I am a husband. I'm a spouse, and I have 5 kids. And I do have a TV in my master bedroom, but it doesn't get turned on very long. In fact, my oldest daughter's 21, and I have a 7-year-old. And, you know, I will chase my kids all over the country. In fact, this weekend, my wife is at a cheer competition in Dallas, Texas with my 2 girls. And my boy turns 13 tomorrow, so I'll be taking him up snowboarding tomorrow because that's what he wants to do for his birthday. But it wasn't always that way. And I'm going to talk about my journey on where I'm at today and where I came from. So I have 8 sisters and 2 brothers, and I was the youngest. I was third to the youngest. So I've got a brother a sister that's pushing 60, and, you know, a very, very wide range of, you know, people that are in my family. And what I get from that is, you know, anytime I would go to my mom and ask her for something, because all of the essentials were always covered. You know, I always had a roof over my head. I always had, food to eat, and I always had clothes. But I remember when I was about 8 years old, I went to my mom and said, "Hey, Mom, I need help with laundry." And she was always one to teach. So she would teach me, "Hey, this is how you do the laundry. You separate the whites and the darks, and you wash it on hot and you wash it on cold." So I started at a very young age doing laundry. I still do it to this day. I teach my kids how to do laundry. But my mom taught me things along the way. And anytime I would go to her and say, "Hey, Mom, I'd really like this," she would be like, "You know, there really aren't the funds available." But she would teach me a way on how to make the money to get that. So at a young age, I remember 8, 9 years old, I'd go to my mom and say, "Hey, Mom, all my friends have this Nintendo, or all my friends have, you know, all of these trinkets or a new bike." And my parents didn't have a lot of resources, you know, because of all the kids and the mouse we had to feed. So my mom would say, "Hey, here's some ways you can earn money." And she's like, "Well, you can go mow lawns. You can go and you can go and shovel walks. You can, you know, go and pull weeds, all these things that you can do." And so I'm like, "Well, how do you do that?" And she's like, "Well, so she would sit down and say, "Let's come up with a plan, right? Let's come up with a plan." And in today's day and age, let's come up with a marketing plan. Let's come up with a business plan. Now, how are we going to do this? And she's like, "Okay, well, what do you want to do?" "Well, we got a lawnmower in the garage. Ask Dad if you can use it." And at that time, I don't know if anybody ever used one of these, but it was an electric lawnmower. Like, you had a 100-foot extension cord. It wasn't gas powered, and you push this thing. So I'm like, "Well, I guess I could use that." I go to my dad. "Dad, can I use a lawnmower?" He says, "Sure." But I didn't have any customers. "How do I get customers, Mom?" She's like, "Well, you can go knock and talk on doors." So I'm like, "Okay, how much do I charge?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. You're going to have to figure that out." So I started knocking. First door I knock on. "Hey, you know, my son does it." You know, that's an objection. I'm trying to tell him, "Hey, I'm trying to earn this Nintendo." By the way, people genuinely want to help each other out. So I'd go there and say, "My name is Ty Brady. I'm looking to earn money to earn a Nintendo so that me and my friends can play it. So I don't have to go to my buddy's house. And then my friends can come to my house and play the Nintendo." The next house I go to, no, I enjoy doing it. It's a hobby of mine. I get space away from my kids and it gives me my peace of mind. Another objection. Next house I go on. No, I don't already have somebody that does it. As I keep going along, I'm 10 doors in. I'm like, man, I'm getting nowhere. How am I going to get this Nintendo? I wanted it so bad. And I go back to my mom. My mom says, well, you just got to knock a few more doors. I'm like, all right, well, how many more doors do I got to knock? I knocked a few more doors and I knocked to this guy, and he was an old veteran guy, older guy. And I'm telling him my story. I'd really like this Nintendo. I can come every Wednesday. I'm going to make it green and clean. I'm going to have it trimmed. I'm going to get your weeds pulled. And I threw a number out. I'll do it for $10. And he's like, thinks about it for a minute. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a shot. I'll give you a shot. This is my one shot. I show up. So I'm so excited. I go back to my mom. I tell my mom, hey, I got this job. The neighbor down the street, so-and-so, is going to let me mow his lawn. And she's like, okay, just make sure the lawnmower is ready to go. And my dad was one of that. This is what crack you up. My dad was always fix it up, wear it out, make it do or live without. So not only do I have a lawnmower that has this extension cord attached to it, it's a 100-foot rope, not basically a extension cord that I have to plug into the house. I had to make sure I managed it back and forth so I didn't run it over. As I go in the garage and I pull out this lawnmower, and it was old orange lawnmower, the electric lawnmower, and one of the wheels on it had a little chunk out of it. So as I'm rolling it down the sidewalk, it's going clunk, 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 all the way down to the neighbor's house. I managed to mow the lawn, got it done, got it paid my $10. I'm like, yes, I'm there. I'm there. I'm closer to get to where I want to go. And, I continued to do that for the next, through the summer, and continued to mow that lawn. But something happened. I ended up, 1 week prior, ended up running over the extension cord that my dad had. Just ran it over, wasn't paying attention. And I'm like, oh no, how am I going to mow this guy's lawn? I don't have what I need. I'm supposed to mow it on Wednesday. I have a responsibility. I want this Nintendo, right? So I go to knock on his door and say, hey, do you mind if I borrow your extension cord? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So he had an extension cord. I was able to complete the job and the task. I did that for a few more weeks. And 3 weeks in, I ran over his extension cord. I went and knocked on his door. Hey, I apologize. I ran over the extension cord. I'm going to have to figure something out, because now I've just lost my source of revenue. How am I going to get this Nintendo? And as I run over that extension cord, I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Well, he says to me, Ty, he says, you know what? It's been great, but I just can't do this anymore. That extension cord, cost me more money than I pay you. And I lost my job. In life, we have moments in time when it doesn't go our way. We think we have everything figured out. We think that, nothing can happen to us. And, I talk about, you can live a life of ease and comfort. And I refer to that as a job. People do a great thing. People have great jobs. They go to school, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're attorneys, and they went to a lot of schooling, and they do really good at a job, So you can have a job which is ease and comfort if you do those things, or you can have a life of service, adventure, and abundance. And that's, I think, a lot of people on this 8% virtual webinar are on somewhere in that journey. And throughout that journey in life that we call, there's another time that happened. I didn't like high school. I pushed a lot. I graduated early in high school as a junior. I got my associate's degree by the age of 18. And then I decided, I had buddies that were going to either the service, they were going in the service, or they were going off to college, or they were dinking around. So I had a choice. What am I going to do? And I actually decided to serve what's called a mission, a humanitarian mission. And I tell my boys all the time, either join the service or go on a humanitarian mission. That taught me so much about what I wanted to do in life and who I could become. As you serve people, that thing I talked about, serve, you want a life of service, abundance, and adventure, what that means. I realized that I didn't have that bad of a childhood. I realized that I would walk into houses to try and teach that they didn't have a floor. They didn't have chairs. They didn't have food. It opened my eyes to a whole different world. As I performed this service, right, I knew that I wanted to chase that. I knew that I would there, and there's ways to do it. My mentor once told me, Ty, there will be 1 or 2 times in your life that you will be able to serve and make a lot of money. Think about that for a minute. How you can serve. If you're selling life insurance, you're serving that person and their family. If you're selling medical insurance, you're serving that person if they have an accident, if they get diagnosed with cancer, if they have a heart attack or stroke, that their family is going to be protected against financial risk and loss. And not only that, the loss of life. That's the responsibility we have to serve. And it's a choice, right? How did I make that choice? Why did I make that choice? I made that choice one day when I lost it all. I mean, I went to school, got my bachelor's degree. I thought I was living high on the hog, making $200,000 a year. I was running a $33 million construction company. It was the owners and me. I had 150 employees. I was building 300 to 400 homes a year. It was great. I was building houses left and right. I built my personal house. And the goal was, hey, at that time, I didn't know about insurance. I had no idea. All I knew was I went to school. I got this job. I worked my way up. I was able to build these houses, the American dream. Everybody wants these houses. And that was the lifelong pursuit. I built my first house, my second house, my third house. And the idea is every 2 years, I was going to build a house. So by year 10, my house was free and clear. And I'm making $200,000 a year. I'd be set. I got nothing to worry about, right? Well, let me tell you, 2008 happened. And you guys all know what happened in 2008. The market went in a tailspin. And the week before Thanksgiving, I was given my last paycheck. And they said, there's the door. After 9 years of service and helping, they said, there's the door. Right before Thanksgiving. I mean, I got Christmas coming up. I got 2 little kids. I just built my dream house on a golf course between the 7th and 11th hole. Again, I got it made, right? No, there was other plans. I had to figure it out. That next year, I worked 17 different jobs, from hanging Christmas lights, doing trim, an adjunct instructor at a college, doing trim drawings because I had a degree in industrial design. Anything I could do. I couldn't get a job in construction. There wasn't anything available. I reached out to all my contacts that I'd helped over the years, small businesses. Hey, do you got a job? 4 months in, after I was searching for a job, something to pay the bills, I'd lost my house. I was off on the streets. So from November to April, my house was gone. I had to move in back in with my parents. You know how devastating that is as a father, as a spouse? You have to go and say, listen, I don't know what else to do. I was doing everything I knew how to do, 17 different jobs, just trying to get back to where I was. But there was a defining moment in the hallway of my parents' house where I made a decision when my 7-year-old daughter comes to me and says, Dad, when can we move back into our old house? At that moment in time, I said, I will never let anybody control my destiny again. And as I picked up a job finally, straight commission, selling vinyl fencing or any type of fencing, I was introduced to the opportunity of insurance. And I'm grateful to this day for that gentleman. His name's Ted White, that gave me the opportunity to be in the insurance industry. For the next 5 years, it was a fight. It was sacrifice. It was scrapping, as I was a personal producer, trying to get to that next level, selling an app a day. That was the goal. Also selling vinyl fencing. I would go and do all my vinyl fencing bids as fast as I could. And knowing that if I did 20 bids a week, that I'd sell $15,000 a week, which is $1 million producer in vinyl fencing, a 6% commission with $60,000 plus a gas card. That's all I got paid. But I did that for 5 years and sold insurance on the days I had off, Saturdays, Sundays, weekends, nights, whatever I could, in between appointments, if I didn't have an appointment selling insurance. And then in 2012, I opened my agency where I could serve and give back. Again, there's 2 times in life that you'll be given an opportunity where you will be able to serve and make a lot of money. And it doesn't matter what leg of insurance. There may be annuity guys on here. There may be, it doesn't matter. You know, everybody needs help. My mentor used to say 4 out of 4 still need more. 4 out of 4 still need more. What does that mean? If they have health insurance, they have life insurance. If they don't have, if they have life insurance, do they need health insurance? Do they have annuities? How do they protect their money? How do they do these things? We have an obligation and a responsibility to give back. And those of you in this call, I'm sure can relate. What a tremendous opportunity we have in the industry we have. I'm gonna leave you with a couple of stories of just people that I've been able to help. I had a gentleman that he came from a call center environment. His name's John. I won't give you his last name. He weighed 499 pounds. Think about that for a minute. 499 pounds. He got laid off his call center job because his manager said he went to the bathroom too much. And he couldn't get a job at 7-Eleven. He couldn't stand. But he had an insurance license. And he looked for an opportunity to try and be better, do better. And he found the same mentor I found. I started with Ted White, and then I found Ron Kellogg, or Ron Kellogg found me. And him and I came on around about the same time. And Ron Kellogg saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And he used to tell me, Ty, you're an all-star. And he said, hey, will you do me a favor? I got this guy named John. He came into my office crying. He said, he has no other choice. His back's up against the wall. He's a single dad. He spent his last dime trying to get custody of his daughter. Will you help him? I rode with him for probably the next 6 months, side by side, splitting apps. To this day, he makes $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Never thought he'd live past 55. Never thought he would amount to anything other than being the drunk older brother that got kicked out of the Army. And he thought that was his legacy. And now he's able to give back, do more, and serve. I think I'm coming up on my time. There's ways to follow me on social media. Brady Insurance is my consumer-facing site on all social media platforms, or you can follow me at ty.r.brady. I appreciate you guys being on this call. I know that there are those two things that you have choices, right? You can have a life of ease and comfort, or you can have a life of service, abundance, and adventure. Thank you.
Amazing, man. Appreciate the vulnerability. Appreciate the stories. Ladies and gentlemen, Ty Brady from Brady Insurance Marketing. Appreciate you, Ty. Just like Kimber just said in the chat. Well said. James says inspiring. Bobby says awesome, Ty. Chelsea says thank you. Brian says so powerful, Ty. You're awesome. Samuel Devos, what is up, man? Good to see you. Says thank you so much. I love that. I appreciate you guys being active in chat. You guys have been amazing.